Hi, I'm Christian Hollis with Clocks by Hollis. Me and my dad run this shop. I'm going to go over today the differences in strikes. Not that it's going to probably matter too much to you because you're going to end up doing the same kind of work, but just so you're familiar with it, this is a rack and snail. This being the rack and that being the snail. You notice how the snail acts just with the hour hand. They go around at the same rate. So whatever the hour hand is pointing to, this is going to be, right, it was just at 1 o'clock, so it's only going to strike 1. See, there it is. And the deeper it falls, right, I can take it all the way back here. That's 12. Now don't go backwards with your hands like I did. That's only for professionals. So you see, now that's 12. And you see how that hand is right in line with all of that, right? So that, when it gets up there, I'll just hurry it along, is how you find out whether you have. So if you take it around, it doesn't matter, you can take it all the way around till 3 o'clock, and now it's going to go, after it finishes over here, it's going to go 3. 1, 2, 3. So unless you bump this hand with your finger, it's always going to be pointing toward the right time. So all you have to do is find out where it was striking. So if your hand was loose, you'd bring it up and it would go through its paces, and it would show you 3 o'clock, and it would, after it's done here, it'll go through and bang out 3, and then you just move the hand and push it on. But for a count wheel, it's a little more tricky because you've actually got this gear. There is no such arrangement on it. You've got this count wheel, and this is a very dirty clock. So you see how this little hole here goes in and out, and there's a deeper groove here. So when it gets to the deeper groove, it is going to lock out the clock. This is pretty time consuming. It takes a long time to get around. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. So if your hands did not match your time, which is often the case in these clocks, say if this side winds down before this side, it continues to run along, then you might want to just take your hand and turn it to that time and wait until it gets to that time and turn on the clock, or you're just going to have to tediously go around with every hour and listen to it until you get to the right time.
The way you can tell the difference on these, most of the newer clocks today within the last 30 years have been rack and snail. Before, interchangeably used, where there's 2 different methods of doing the count wheel and the rack and snail. Now, if you notice that when your clock runs down, it runs out of power, and you go to start it back up and it's striking something different, you're pretty good indication that you have a count wheel. And you would go through, as I mentioned just earlier, by setting the hands to the time that actually struck. If you reset it and it was right on time, or with this right time that it's indicating, then you would probably have a rack and snail, and you can go from there. The main thing before you do any of that is to get your clock wound up so that you have the power that's necessary to allow the clock to strike.